Hello guys, Greg back with another video on the channel. It's all killer, no filler. So I just did a video on my favourite 5 fragrances from the house of Diptyque, and since I was already at my office and I've already moved all my desk around, I thought I'd make use of the time and do another quick video. There's no preparation in this video at all. I've just literally pointing the camera and speaking, so just bear that in mind. Hope you like the little visual at the back there, just to, you know, mute the boredom, because I don't ever have anything particularly interesting. They're just a couple of bottles that sit in my office, so I've put them there. But this one is going to be a tag response video. This tag series was well over a year ago. I'm just doing this out of courtesy, really. I always like to try and do responses when people include me in these things. So this one is the 4 most important fragrances tag. The idea being to talk about the most important fragrances or most influential fragrances to me since I got into this fragrance hobby. Props to Ashton from Gent Sense. He started this, as I said, it was a long time ago, and thanks to Dan, Mr. Smelly, for tagging me in here. As with all my videos, it's just going to be honest. I haven't picked loads of obscure fragrances to be really interesting. It's just honestly the 4 that I could think of that, for various reasons, had a big impact on my sort of love of this hobby. So, quick sort of bit of an intro. I've been a fragrance fanatic since I was really about 6 or 7 years old. My dad used to wear, you'll remember some of you older guys, he used to wear Yardley Gold, he used to wear Hallmark by Lonterec, he wore Mandate, Rapport. Most of these fragrances you can buy like in what in the UK is Boots, which is a drugstore. I presume you have the same over in the States as well in Europe. But I also had my own collection of fragrances, really as far back as I can remember. I had Insignia, I had Brut, Blue Stratos, High Karate, Tabac, I had, what else did I have? Jovan Musk, that was a favourite. Old Spice, I still love that fragrance now. So even back then I had a collection. We're talking about the early 80s now. So, but my sort of love of fragrances and my interest was always more of a casual one. And it was until 2012, I went on a stag weekend, or it was more than a weekend, but a few days away to Benidorm in Spain. And whilst I was at the airport, I went into duty free and I was just sniffing loads of fragrances. And I happened to smell this one, and from that day, and still to this date now, having smelt, I don't know, not even exaggerating, I probably have smelt close to 100,000 fragrances. This is still my favourite of all time, and it's the one that changed everything. Now, as I said, the stag do was in Benidorm. It was about 35 degrees, so it's the worst possible situation for this fragrance, but I wore the hell out of it. And most of you will probably know what this fragrance is, because I always talk about it. It's been my favourite. And this is Dior Fahrenheit. And this is a 2004 bottle. And I do have lots of different bottles from different years. You probably all know about this one, but it's a leathery, musky scent. It's got a petroleum accord. It's really unique. It still smells visionary. It's 33 years now since this was released, and it still smells modern to me. So that was the first one that really started this in a big way and really influenced me. And the next fragrance was then my leap from designer fragrances to niche. And there's only one fragrance store near where I live that sells luxury fragrances. They sold and they still do sell Creed. And I remember for years going into the store at the weekend and looking at these Creed fragrances. And at the time they were about £150 for 120ml. And I thought, how could anyone ever spend that much money on a fragrance? But after I had this love affair with Fahrenheit, I started to Google things, and I Googled best men's fragrance, and the first thing that came up on the search was Base Notes, and it had a list of top 10 Creed fragrances, and then that linked into YouTube. So, you know, I got into, so I went into the store and I picked up, literally went through all the Creed fragrances, took a pen with me, sprayed all the testers, and then took them home. And most of them, even after 24 hours, I thought they smelled fantastic. But the one that really got me was this one, and it's still definitely one of my favourite fragrances of all time. I've never smelled anything quite like it. It obviously wasn't one of these big bottles that I've got here now, but it was and is Creed's original Vetiver. It's a fantastic clean. It's got that sort of Irish spring soapy type of smell, mild grassy vetiver, but it's a really stunning fragrance, and as I say, I still absolutely love that one. And next up was one that took me sort of to the next level of spending. I never thought in a million years that I'd ever spend this much on a fragrance. It seems sort of crazy to me, but you know, as with anything, I suppose, as you get more into a hobby, that's what happens. But this one is, I think it was twice as expensive as anything that I'd ever bought before when I bought this. But it's still, this is in my top 5 fragrances of all time. And this is Amber Oud by Roja Parfums. Excuse the smudges on the bottle. I'll give that a quick wipe. I actually prefer Musk Oud to Amber Oud now, but it's still one of my all-time favourites. Absolutely love it. It's an opulent, regal fragrance. It's beautifully crafted. It's essentially, it's a rose oud perfume, which isn't actually a style that I usually like. But there's a great ambergris note in there. It's got lots of other stuff. So well blended, you can't pick out individual notes. I still struggle to this day, after many years of having it, to dissect this one and figure out what's actually in it. But yeah, that was the most sort of my big leap into really the next level of spending. So that is Amber Oud. And my final, fourth and final pick was the one that made me appreciate and start to look more into indie perfumes. Although this is an indie perfume, it's actually very well known. It's a masterpiece in my opinion, and this is from the house of Tower Perfumes, and this is L'air du désert marocain. And this is designed to kind of emulate the smell and the feeling of a dry desert air wafting over the streets of Morocco, and then picking up the sense of all the baking that's going on in the street markets below. It's a great concept. It's an amazing smell and fragrance. It's dry, spicy, smoky. It's got ambery incense. I'm not doing this one justice. This would need a 10-minute video to fully describe it, but it's one of the very best fragrances I've ever smelled. Absolutely love it. So there you go. That's my 4 most important fragrances. I won't tag anyone because this tag died a long time ago, but this is just me being late. So you know, leave a comment with some of your favourite fragrances and the ones that influenced you. If you are on Instagram, please give me a follow on there. My Insta name is Fragrance Samples UK. And remember, I've got samples of most of these fragrances on my website, which is fragrancesamplesuk.com. Unfortunately, we're only shipping to the UK at the moment. All right, guys, thanks for watching. See you all soon. Cheers.